Hey everyone, and welcome to another FTx webinar. Today we're going to be talking about the warehouse software and some of the new features that have just been added. This update has already gone down to most of you, so you may already have seen some of this, and then again you may not have. So we're just going to go through step by step. I'm going to start out in item maintenance. The very first thing we're going to show you is the item templates that we've added. So just like in the retail software, just like in Director, we have now this little template section. We can click New to create a template from the existing item. Give that a name. And then whenever we go and we create a new item, we can switch to that template and click Apply to get all of the tree information and the locations, as well as the description, product line, and the costs and prices all moved over to that new item. That saves you quite a lot of time in typing. As with the Director templates, you can make some changes and then go and click Update, and that will update the template to the new information that you've just put in. So that is our item templates. Now we're going to move on to a new change we made with promotions. As you can see, I'm going to go and I'm going to edit this top promotion, L&M, and you'll see there's this checkbox here for use tiers. Rather than just having a flat amount off, using tiers, you can set a different discount for each quantity that they buy. So they buy from 1 to 5, they'll get $1 off. They buy 6 to 10, they'll get $2 off. Or 11 to $9.99, they get $3 off. And you can put as many of these tiers as you want. You can put 2, 3, 10, whatever. So all you have to do to add these is, once you've checked use tiers, you'll see that little button pops up. You can come in here, you can click Add Tier. Put in a start quantity and a stop quantity, and the amount, and click Save. Obviously, you want to make sure your tiers are not overlapping. I'll switch that down to 19. Then you can go and you can edit your existing tiers to adjust whatever you need, or you can just click Remove Tier to delete one altogether. When you actually create orders with this, you can see the results pretty clearly right away. So I'm just going to put a few lines on this order. The first one will be 2, so that'll fall under Tier 1. The second will be, say, 7. That'll fall well into Tier 2, and I'll just click Add New Entry here. And the third one will say 13. And again, Add New Entry. So you can see under Price Each, that's the price with the $1 off, and with the 2 and the $3 off. So you can see the difference pretty clearly right there. So that is the tiered promotions, and now we'll move on to the next section, which is a small addition to Director integration. So already with Director integration, we can pull over UPCs, descriptions, and things like that. The thing we've added is the ability to pull over aliases. This number right here is actually an alias that was created for this item in the retail side. I'm going to remove that real quick just so I can demonstrate this. So I'm going to go into Maintenance and then over to Settings. And I'm just going to click Import UPCs on my FTx Director settings. Say yes. And when I go back, you can see that the alias has now been added. That's just another quick time saver for you. Next up, I'm going to go on down to our accounting module. So in accounting, we have added a new ability to use an existing credit invoice to pay an existing invoice. So you can see here, I now have a link called Apply Credit Memo. I can click that, and this will show me all my open credit memos, which I don't currently have any of for this customer. If I did have them for this customer, then when I click this, it would bring up a list of them, and I could choose one and say apply, and you would see a payment show up in here equal to the amount of the credit invoice, and then the credit invoice itself would be marked as paid. Actually, an example of that here, where you can see it says credit memo and the amount is $51.80, and that corresponds to credit memo 1991 down here, which you can see is $51.80. So the next issue on the agenda is we're going to go down to accounts. We've actually added this thing with accounts where you can send out balance due notifications. So just before a due date for a particular invoice, it'll send out an email to whatever contact. You can send this to, a person at the actual company or getting payment from, or you can send it to someone in your own company just to remind them to reach out to the customer. So as far as the number of days before due date, the way that it knows that actually goes over to payment, or goes back to what we added in payment terms here. We click edit, you can see there's now a length option. You'll have to fill that in. Those don't have any values by default, so you'll have to go into each of your terms and add the days if you're planning on using this. But you can see I've got a length of 60 days in there, 30, 15. And based on the payment terms that the account is set up with and the email address, it will send those emails out. And that's, of course, tied to the warehouse scheduled tasks program, which many of you already have set up. That does your scheduled reports as well as your snapshots. So that is pretty much all of the new features we have to demonstrate, but I do want to give you kind of a tour of a couple of other little things we've added that aren't necessarily new processes, but are just added in to make existing processes a little easier, a little more convenient or informative. So first we're going to touch on a report that was added called the Back in Stock report. And I don't actually have any data in my database for this, but this is a report to show you items that were out of stock that have since been received back in. I'll go ahead and run the report so you guys can see. Maybe I do have some information in here. So you can see for these items, they were out of stock for 9 days. We currently do have some on hand. We have 5 on hand, and they were last received on the 26th of June. So this can hopefully just help you to see what you've been running out of, see what you may need to order a little bit more of to keep in stock. We'll also note, and this has been added for all the reports under the quick dates, there's now a last week option. That hadn't been there previously, but it was in Director, so we went ahead and added it here just for symmetry, I suppose. Next up over here in orders, and this is kind of on the same note as the payment terms and sending out alerts. You actually show payment terms on each of the orders now. They just show right there in the grid. Over here in purchasing, we have this sales in last X amount of days. By default, it's 365. Used to, this just showed sales in the last year, but now you can actually say sales in the last 14 days. You can see that updates my number here to tell me I've sold 11 of those. Whereas back when it was 365, we're seeing quite a bit more sales. And then last but not least, we're going to go down to our vendors. And you see we've added a terms column to the vendors grid here so that you can see what terms, what payment terms you have with all of your vendors. All right, so that about concludes all that we had to talk about today. So I appreciate your attention and hope this was helpful to you guys. Thank you.